Hello, this is Brian McCormick with MTG Rocks, and today we're going to be playing Bant Midrange Standard on Magic Arena. This deck is a mid-range deck. It uses creatures to deal damage and finish out the game, but it also has some control elements. Basically, what we're trying to do with this deck is we want to be able to beat fast decks like Mono Red, but still have a decent matchup versus control. One of the important cards in this deck is Hero of Precinct 1, which reads, whenever we cast a multicolored spell, we get a 1/1 white human creature token. As you can see, other than 2 Tithe Takers, our entire deck is multicolored spells. So if we get that on turn 2, we'll be generating a lot of card advantage with that card in the form of tokens. We also have Night Owl Autumn, which does well against both mono red and control decks. Against red decks, we get to gain life. Against control, we get to destroy their Azcanta or their Ixalan's Binding. Against mono white, we can destroy their Legion's Landing, and as well as their enchantment removal. We can also make it a big creature if we need to. We have Conclave Cavalier, which is both good versus aggressive decks and against control decks. Against aggressive decks, it trades off nicely. And against control decks, when they destroy all the creatures on the board, we do still have 4 power at the end of the day. So that's good. Frilled Mystic is really great against control. It's a nice body that counters a spell. Absorb is, of course, good versus control and red decks. Krasis is just a great card advantage card. Depose Deploy is a good way to gain life and to create some threats. And Tithe Taker is good against aggro because we can trade off with them and have a 1/1 token. And against control, it makes it a little bit harder for them to interact with us, and we do get a 1/1 if they do kill it. And of course, on turn 3, we also have access to Dovin, which is a recurring source of 1/1 Thopters. So this is the deck. Let's see how it does. And we're just going to be playing regular best of 1 format on Arena. Of course, right now, War of the Spark is coming out at the end of the month. And since the Mythic Invitational, the best of 1 format has been mostly solved with mono red, mono blue, mono white, and Esper decks being the main decks in the format. So unfortunately, we're not seeing a lot of variety in best of 1 right now, but this is a fun deck that you can play test if you're looking for something different to play. Alright, so we're playing against red-blue. I'm just going to lead with a Hero of Precinct 1. This may be a Drake deck. It could be a Niv Mizzet deck of some sort. Alright, so they lightning striked our hero, which is a good threat for us, so it's something they want to get rid of. So we could bluff a counter. I don't see why I would want to do that. I think it's better just to play Breeding Pool tapped, and then we can Growth Spiral during their turn, and then put the Glacial Fortress down. And if they don't play anything good this turn, that means we have Frilled Mystic up for following turns. And then late game, we'll try and play Krasis. Alright, so Discovery. So we still don't know what he's playing. Maybe he's running Phoenixes, but I don't think he would if he's running Lightning Strikes. Seems like some sort of Niv Mizzet deck if it's doing that. When he's playing a Guildgate, that's very confusing. Alright, so we'll play Growth Spiral. Put Glacial Fortress. Maybe we can play Teferi next turn. Ooh, nope. Alright, so we'll pass. We have Frilled Mystic mana. I guess we can just counter whatever he does this turn, although he may pass and just Chemister's Insight at the end of our turn. Ooh, a Storm Tamer. Yeah, that is confusing. I don't know what he's doing. Do we want to counter this spell? I mean, it's just a 1/1. I guess we'll let it resolve. I mean, we don't target creatures with our deck. We don't target players too much. I mean, Teferi can target a creature, but Chart of Course. Alright, that seems like a better target for Frilled Mystic. And I'm just playing Frilled Mystic now just because it applies some pressure, some beatdown with attacks. I'm sure he has other spells that we'd like to use it on. Okay, so we can deploy if we want. We can Grand Arbiter and make a token. I think I'll just start by attacking for 3. He could have a shock in his hand, but maybe he would shock Frilled Mystic. I don't think I want to deploy yet. I mean, I guess I could deploy next turn, play Dovin, and tick it up if that's what we wanted to do. But I'll just play Dovin now since that's recurring tokens and make a 1/1, and that can block the Storm Tamer if it attacks Dovin. Would have been great that turn if we did have some mana and then we could play Teferi though. But so he may have that spell that deals 2 damage to all non-pirate creatures. I mean, he's running an unusual deck with Scion Storm Tamer. I assume he needs some sort of board damage to deal with aggressive decks. Although if he had that in his hand, he may want to play that now, or he may want to wait till we tick down Dovin next turn. Perhaps he's thinking about using that. Okay, fight with fire. Well, that's a lot of card to deal with the 1/1 token generated with Dovin. I guess he gets Dovin down to 1. And uses Chart of Course. Okay, so we have Teferi mana now. We can also play 3 Power Hydroid Crisis, which isn't great. Alright, well, I guess I'll play Teferi while I can. He's red, so I don't think he has a lot of ways to deal with it once it resolves. And we'll draw a card. Alright, we got a land. Uptick Dovin. Attack with Frilled Mystic. Dovin gets bigger. So next turn we can -1 Dovin if we want. And we want to uptick Teferi, try an ultimate sometime. We do have a backup Teferi. And we'll be able to play some big Crassus soon. Our opponent should be able to play Niv Mizzet once they hit 6 lands, which would be a problem for us. I guess we could put it back in their deck with Teferi as a short-term solution. So another Storm Tamer. And our turn. Okay, and another Dovin. Alright, so first I'm going to draw to get more information. Growth Spiral. Alright, well, let's go ahead and attack with Frilled Mystic and see what he does. No blocks. Okay. We will make a token. So we can play Deploy Dispose, but that would be bad if he has the red red card that wipes the board of non-pirates. But it can block the Storm Tamers nicely. I think I'll pay 2 life and then go ahead and play Crassus for 4. And we get the cast trigger no matter what, so we do get to draw 2 cards. Okay, so our opponent does not have a counter spell for that. And then we'll get to use Growth Spiral at the end of his turn. And then we have another Frilled Mystic. That's a great card to draw. So I assume he has a removal for the Crassus. Enigma Drake. 7/4. Wow, that's pretty big size now. So he's running a Drake deck with Storm Tamers to protect the Drake. Our tokens do a good job of chumping that if we protect our Dovins. And the deploy does that as well. Trades with Crassus. Okay. I assume he's running Phoenixes if he's running Discovery. Maybe he isn't, but... Doesn't look like he's an Electromancer build. Oh, up to 9 power. That's pretty good. Alright, so now we'll Growth Spiral. Pull a Hollow Fountain into play. We drew another land. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lands. What to do? We have a Frilled Mystic to counter on his turn. He is fairly low on life. I think I'll go ahead and attack with the Crassus. Because if he blocks, I'm fine with that. And if he doesn't, he's getting low on life. That makes it harder for him to attack. He may just trade off a Storm Tamer. Okay. So he's going to take it and go to 5. We can return Enigma Drake. I guess I'll make a token. So we have only access to 1 counter. Yeah, I think I want to be safe, so I guess I'll put Enigma Drake down a few in his library. I mean, he'll draw it with Chemist's Insight, but he's got to use up his mana for a turn to do that. They're going to Wizard Lightning. I guess I'll Frilled Mystic that. And then we have a pretty big board. And end of his turn, we can deploy. Maybe we'll be able to attack for lethal. Electromancer. Okay, so he's an Electromancer deck. Yeah, he's running a lot of Chart of Course. Okay. So he has Enigma Drake again. But we're pretty wide now. Okay. I think we have game next turn because we can Teferi to tuck Enigma Drake. Alright, so we'll deploy, gain a bunch of life, make tokens. Alright, so we have 4, 5, 6, 7 attackers. If we tuck, he has 3 blockers. So that 4 comes through. So basically, he goes to 1. And we lose Teferi. Then we have another Teferi. Oh, I guess we could tuck 2. So we tuck Enigma Drake, and then we play the other Teferi. We tuck Electromancer. He has 2 blockers. He attacks the blocks the Crassus Mystic. Yeah, so we should have game. Alright, so we'll tuck Enigma Drake. play another Teferi. Okay, and he scoops. Alright, so there we go. We beat a Drake deck. And we were in pretty good position throughout most of that game. Okay, alright, so we can play a turn 2 Tithe Taker. We can also play Growth Spirals. Dolvin seems playable. I'll lead off with the Hollowed Fountain. Alright, we'll pay 2. And play Tithe Taker. And if he's running counter spells, that'll make it easier on our turn, although it looks like we're playing against a Guildgate deck that is running Fountain of Renewal for some reason. Okay. Alright, I guess maybe that's good against mono red, I guess. Alright, we'll pay 2. Get Dolvin out. Start making some Thopters. Well, we could kill Knight of Autumn. I'm not sure if that's a good play at all, but we can kill Fountain of Renewal. He's running Discovery. Interesting. He hasn't shown his red mana yet, but if you're running Gates, you have to run Gates Ablaze. I don't see why you wouldn't. Let's see. Here's I'll make another Thopter, even though he could Gates Ablaze next turn. And do we want to use Knight to kill Fountain? I think destroying a Gate Colossus is better. I'll just wait and maybe use Growth Spiral at the end of his turn. It's possible we were supposed to uptick Dolvin there if we were worried about Gates Ablaze. That way we could make more tokens quicker. Because we don't want to make a token next turn. Otherwise it dies. So it looks like he played his land and he opted. So no Gates Ablaze. Still no red mana. It's looking less likely that he's running Gates Ablaze. Alright, so we'll Growth Spiral. Could be running a Johnny even. Okay, we got Deploy. That's useful. Fortunately, we can't play Frilled Mystic without a second green. And we'll pass the turn. I might just deploy at the end of his turn because I'm not seeing any red mana. I mean, he could be running the other. He's probably running white board wipes of some sort. Psychic Corrosion. I would like to counter that, but I can't. So he's going to try and deck us, which means we need to play as many creatures as we can. And he certainly does have a lot of life gain. Alright, so we'll deploy. Alright, so we got another green. And I'm just going to keep making aggressive tokens since I have Frilled Mystic open to counter a removal spell. Next turn, I might uptick Dolvin so I can ultimate. I guess we can Knight of Autumn Psychic Corrosion if decking becomes a possibility. But we need to keep our mana open for a removal spell. At least for a sorcery speed removal spell. So Guild Summit. Alright, well that's something we want to counter. We don't want him getting a lot of card advantage. And he can't wipe the board with 2 mana, I believe. Alright, so we've got a lot of damage next turn. I guess I'll Growth Spiral, see if we can draw a Absorb. I'll hold the Knight of Autumn. Well, next turn, actually, I'd rather play Cavalier. So I'll just destroy his decking strategy. That way, if he board wipes, you know, we have a Cavalier. That'll make it through one board wipe. Yeah, I assumed he had Cleansing Nova. So we can Cavalier next turn, and that'll fight through Cleansing Novas pretty well. Okay. Alright, so we get Absorb, obviously, Conclave, and Deploy. That seems pretty good. Alright, so we have lethal next turn unless he board wipes. We can still keep making tokens with Dovin every turn. Okay. Seems slow. You can make a 1/1 blocker though every turn. Alright, guess we'll go to combat. And then if he makes a token, we'll just tap it. And then we win. Well, actually we don't win because he's at 6. We'll win next turn. Oh, settle? Okay, so we will absorb that. That's one way to get rid of Cavalier. We'll make a token. And we won't play anything else. We can deploy at the end of his turn if we feel the need. Growth Spiral, that is fine. Alright, and he couldn't find any answer. So there we go. We beat a mid-rangey or interesting control deck. Some kind of weird gate mill deck. He had some removal spells, but we had counters for that. Which is, one reason why the Bant deck is interesting, because we do have counters with Frilled Mystic and Absorb. With, like the Golgari deck doesn't have the same amount of counters that we do. They probably don't run Frilled Mystic at all, but they could. Not a good hand, so we'll mull. Alright, this is better. So we've got Tide Taker, Growth Spiral, Dovin, and Frilled Mystic. Fortunately, we have 2 shock lands, but we do get to go first. Oh, third. I guess we do want our 3rd land, so I'll keep it on top. Hopefully, we're not playing against mono red. Okay, so probably an Esper deck. No, a black-blue deck with Miscloaked Herald. Interesting. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll lead off with Tithe Taker. I don't feel too confident against Curious Obsession decks with this deck. That is a lot of card advantage. Okay. So, I'll play Dovin. We have Tide Taker, so it's... Unless he has Spell Pierce, that resolves. Alright, we'll make a Thopter. And attack with Tithe Taker. And next turn we can pay 2, and we'll have Frilled Mystic available to us. And we'll probably want to uptick Dovin. Assuming he attacks Dovin. No, he attacks us. Interesting. So we can keep making tokens. Ah, so he could play Spawn. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we can't really attack into that. Just gonna make this, and he can kill it, I suppose. Alright, well, unfortunately, Spawn of Mayhem is a problem for us at the moment, because we don't have anything with more power than it does to attack through it. I guess we'll let Stormtamer resolve. We don't really target his permanents with anything. Or him, for that matter. Okay, so that dies. Not sure what we're trying to draw here. Maybe the Conclave Cavalier. Okay, so we have a good counterspell target. Thief of Sanity is really good against us, so we want to kill that. Alright. So, let's see, does that leave us Absorb Mana? Double blue and white. Yes, it does. Okay, so... Yep. Fortunately, we can't attack into the Spawn of Mayhem. Not looking good for us at the moment. Okay, another Stormtamer. And we'll play another Tithe Taker. Alright, so I will chump block one of the Stormtamers. We take 4. And he didn't do anything. Okay, interesting. Alright, we'll attack with everything. I assume he has like a Dream Eater or something in his hand. I don't know why he attacked with Spawn of Mayhem. I was doing fine as a blocker. Interesting. Okay, so he blocks with Herald. And he plays Dive Down. I guess, might as well absorb that. Killing Herald seems decent when we're at such a low life, and we get to go up some more in life. Okay, and we get a blocker for the Stormtamer. And our opponent is down to 5, and Spawn is going to keep dealing him damage. So, and we can make some chump blockers against Mayhem. So I feel better now in this game. So, yeah, he scoops because he realized once he attack, I'll be able to deal him lethal next turn. Alright, so we managed to win because our opponent attacked for some reason. The Spawn of Mayhem. Not the best play. All right. Well, that's an interesting hand. We're first. 2-drop would be nice to draw. But no, we got Knight of Autumn, followed up by Conclave Cavalier and Frilled Mystics. We're playing against a green deck. Adventurous Impulse, interesting. So this looks like the mono green Pelt Collector deck. Yep. Okay. We'll go ahead and put down the Temple Garden so we don't lose life. And I guess we'll just make a big Knight of Autumn. I don't believe this deck runs any enchantments. Alright, so we have the bigger creature first. This might be a hard matchup for us because he'll make a bunch of big creatures and we're not really strong on removal. All we really have is Teferi for removal once it resolves. If he has a weak turn this turn, we can have Frilled Mystic. Ooh, so until your next turn, creatures you control can add a mana. And it can add a counter to a creature. Oh, and he plays Growth Chamber Simic. Okay. Alright, I'll attack for 4. So the question is, do we want a Frilled Mystic or a Conclave Cavalier? I think I'd rather Frilled Mystic to get some tempo. That could be wrong. I mean, his creatures can get big. Alright, so we'll definitely counter that. So the Pelt Collector doesn't get bigger. And he hasn't used Growth Chamber yet. Alright, and then he plays Branch Walker. So we can play Dovin to start making tokens if we think that's the better play. I'm just going to attack. And it does no blocks. Then we'll play a Cavalier. The blue-white would be much better for us in this matchup because it's a flyer. And he has to pay 2 more mana to target it. This green deck can make its creatures outscale Cavalier pretty quickly. See, his Pelt Collector's already a 4/4. Okay. They don't have Vigilance, do they? No, they do have Vigilance from the song. Okay, interesting. I think I'll trade with Pelt Collector just because that can get bigger quickly. I guess I could block the Guardian. I think this is the better block, though. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to deploy on his turn. I think I have to beat him with flyers. And that'll gain us some life. I'm not sure if he'll attack into us either because he's at 9 life. That's a big Pelt Collector. Okay, so now we'll deploy. Ooh, and another deploy. That's pretty good. Alright, so hopefully we can win with our tokens. I'll deploy again at the end of his turn. And that's going to gain us some life, so we have some more turns. I'm not sure. I don't think he has a way to deal with our flyers. He can deal with them one at a time with the one that has undergrowth. He needs to go wide to beat us quickly, basically. And if he attacks all out, I think we can survive with deploy and then just attack for the win. So he's in a tough spot. I'm not going to block at all. So he's only got 2 blockers, and now we're going to deploy. Alright, and then he can only block 2 creatures, which means 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gets through. So this should be lethal. Alright, and we won that game thanks to our 2 deploys. He couldn't do anything about our flyers, and if he attacked, he couldn't get through our defense. I think that game going first made a big difference. Alright, so we have Absorb, Cavalier, and Frilled Mystic. And we go first. That's good. Again, we would like a 2-drop. Play the Shockland first. So maybe Esper. We'll play the Shockland again. Ooh, Thought Erasure. Okay, so he could take our Absorb. That slows us down a turn. But Frilled Mystic is just too good versus his deck against Esper. That's one of the best cards in the matchup. Alright, so we'll play Sun Petal, and then we'll Knight of Autumn, make it nice and big. And then we'll have mana open to Frilled Mystic and Absorb in the following turns. And basically, it's on him to kill Knight of Autumn, so we can just... Alright, well, he goes in and kills it anyways. So that means for us, we're just going to play Cavalier while we can. And if he kills it, we do get 2/2/2, so that doesn't really accomplish much for him on the first attempt. Okay, Field of Ruin. That's actually good against us if he used it. Alright. So he plays Search. And I'm pretty happy here just attacking for 4 and holding back Frilled Mystic. We do have to raise Search for his Kanta. Alright, so he has Cast Down. And I'm fine countering that with Absorb. I'm not using the Frilled Mystic because I want to use that later and have a 3/2 body, because next turn he may Kai's Wrath, and then I still get the 2/2s, but I don't really accomplish what I want with Frilled Mystic, which is having a beatdown card. Doom Whisperer, okay, that's unexpected. He's not actually running Esper, he's just blue-black. Interesting. Alright, well, lucky for us, we have Teferi, so we can tuck it. Wouldn't be surprised if he paid some Life Fear to Surveil. So it looks like you put cast down. Okay. Alright. Got him down to 10. I'm pretty happy with our position right now, although we don't know his deck. We do have a Frilled Mystic and Hydroid Krasis, and unless he has Vraska's Contempt for the Conclave, that's gonna keep hitting for 4 every turn. Of course, the Fairy will keep drawing us cards until he deals with that. And we've got a Krasis coming in eventually. I think Conclave Cavalier is an especially strong card. It's just good in many matchups. Ooh, Dispersal. Now we have to discard a card. Do I want to discard Krasis or Teferi? Guess I'll discard Krasis. I mean, okay. I'm down to 6. We could go for lethal with Conclave Cavalier. I'm just gonna cast Frilled Mystic on whatever he plays. I assume he's gonna play the Doom Whisper that he draws. Oh, there it is. So if he plays it, we win when we counter it. No, he's got Thought Erasure. Okay. Then we still win because he's only got 4 mana. And he can't play his Doom Whisper. And then we got Dovin. Alright, and he surrendered. Alright, great. Alright, so that's been a fair amount of matches with Bant Midrange. As you can see, we did a good job. We won all of our games against a variety of different decks, and it performed well. We had good early aggressive cards, and we were able to follow it up with Absorbs and Frilled Mystic versus removal and other big threats. We were able to get around ground game strategies like mono green with deploys. The Teferi was useful. Conclave Cavalier was pretty good versus all of our matchups. Knight of Autumn had some utility in all of our matchups, and Dovin put in work. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos from us, please like and subscribe. And leave us a comment what you'd like to see in future episodes. Thanks for watching.